On Tuesday, Tyrese would go to Instagram to accuse DJ Vlad of using black people. In a lengthy post that has since been deleted, Tyrese would share screenshots of a text thread between himself and Vlad, where he was offered $10,000 for an interview. Tyrese's main issue seems to be that Vlad continues to bring up his name in interviews. Tyrese's caption read, "You're hurting because even after you offered me $10K, I turned down your corny culture vulture show. Haven't you used black people enough? What's the dude's name who's talked off camera who owns VladTV? How much is he leeching off of black culture?" Today we have our comedy hype analysts, Yamanika Saunders and Pierre, calling into the show to give their thoughts and reactions. But first, let's take a look at this clip.
Did you see that video of Tyrese recently?
Nah.
You heard about this?
Nah, what he did?
So Tyrese, apparently a judge just ruled that he owes $10,000 a month in child support. He goes on this big, Instagram rant where he calls on a public protest on the steps of the Atlanta courthouse. He called in Martin Luther King III, Benjamin Crump, and everyone to come protest with him to try to get his child support down.
So how much he owe?
I don't know how much he owes, but he owes, well, now it's $10,000 a month. He recently did an interview, because I guess at one point he was claiming that Will Smith owed him $5 million. And he said, the reason I said that was because of some medicine that I took.
You don't need to be saying that shit about no child.
Man, listen, we've DM'd each other. I remember this one time, and he would I would text him, and he would respond with like a voice memo. And he just sounded like a crazy person. At one point, I just had to block him. Tyrese, I think, has actual mental disabilities.
Yeah, when he cried, that shit hurt me. That shit hurt my feelings. I say he hurt. I probably ain't never seen too many people hurt like that on Instagram. He was hurt. I don't know. I never met him, man.
They saying like, yo, man, why would you go up and go in on Vlad? All you doing is sending him more followers and giving him more attention. I disagree with that. This is different. This fucking goofy ass dude disrespected the honorable Elijah Muhammad. And y'all gonna keep going on his show? This dude right here disrespected the honorable Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. He says, "You fucking clown. Do you understand that we as black culture are coming onto your show and you sitting off camera trying to bait us into talking shit about each other and going at each other? All the people that went to jail after they came on your show. Because the feds, you work for the feds. You setting niggas up to do interviews off camera, and everything that they're going into with details about their court case, everybody that come on your show, they go to jail. See, I don't bother nobody until you fuck with me. So what part of me going through a divorce is funny? What part of me going to court as a black man in the presence of a racist judge who abused his power and ended up giving me a bunch of fucking outcomes of my court case? What part of that shit is funny? You know how many black people are in jail right now because of the criminal justice system? You as a white boy, you don't even know what the fuck it is to deal with the courts. If you rappers and you singers and you actors decide to look the other way for somebody who continues to disrespect us, going on the fucking show and going to get your money. He offered me $10,000. They all in my comment, they said the dude's net worth is $5 million. How the fuck did you get $5 million? You got $5 million off of black culture. Culture vulture. You fuck with a real one this time, didn't you, bruh? You can't ever do anything to ever make a difference in my career. Boosie, that's my nigga. I ain't never met him either, but I just seen him on the freeway in the ATL. He a real nigga like me. He's sitting there like, hey, you know what happened with Tyrese? Boosie looking like, the fuck you talking about? You got your head so far up my ass, how does my shit smell, nigga? All of the press and media and blogs are all going in because they all agree. You offered me $10,000 to come and do an interview. If you as black culture gonna keep going on his show, I never reached out to no Martin Luther King III and told him to come on some child support shit. You gonna laugh? Talking about Dr. King didn't get assassinated on a balcony on behalf of fighting for child support payments? Y'all go on and take y'all goofy ass on his show all you want. He gonna keep profiting off of black culture. Dude's worth $5 million. How much he paying you to do them fucking interviews? Y'all know they run ads on YouTube, right? You think you need to be on his show in order to put your album and your song and your single on the map? Fuck that dude, man.
Now, we were able to kind of look at those clips back to back. Boosie would be the most recent interview that would cause Tyrese to say, hey, this is enough. I have to say something after hearing his name multiple times on the Vlad platform. Pierre, let me come to you. I'd be very interested to get your thoughts. I know you've been on Vlad before, so I'd love to get, what's your reaction after hearing Tyrese be upset?
Well, I'll have to say, let me give a big up to Bootsy for not taking the bait. You could see it in Bootsy's face that he wasn't down for the laughter and the fun of a black man being laughed at for going through such a hard thing. He threw a little smile, but you could tell it was a fake smile. And then he said, hey, I was hurt when that brother was crying. Because Bootsy comes from the same field that Tyrese comes from. So he understands and feels it, how the law can, twist stuff around and make fun of you and do things to you that can hurt you, mentally, financially, whatever the case may be. And for Vlad to make it a joke and laugh at it, Vlad has his reasons, and, maybe he feels a certain way he's coming for Tyrese. Well, then now Tyrese turned around and said, well, I'm coming for you now. Enough's enough. And, Vlad has had the history of poking the bear at times. You know what I'm saying? I've done the show with him. He was cool with me. But let's be honest, the big scope of things, we aren't pretty happy for him, what he does, Vlad, to the black culture. Especially, it is a white man, a Russian, whatever, doing stuff towards black people, getting them out. Because we do it ourselves. Let's be honest. black people have podcasts and shows that we ask questions and see. There's a whole bunch of academic, Cap One, whatever, Capone One, or whatever it's called. A lot of black ones do it, but it hurts different. It hits different when a white man, a Russian or whatever, is putting it out there. You know what I'm saying? We can talk amongst ourselves, but when you let the white man be profitable, our pain, it's a different feel, and I just felt like, he's poking the bear. But people are coming on his show voluntarily and or getting paid. And it shows, hey, some people are selling their souls to get on that show to make money, to expose themselves. You know what I'm saying? So who you blame?
Absolutely. Now, Yamanika, I feel like it's been a while since I've been here on Wednesday. I missed this backdrop. I like your pink bricks in the back. So, of course, I want to know how this relates to today. And also, I want to get your reaction to this. After seeing Tyrese react to Vlad bringing his name up time and time again, what are your thoughts?
Well, the background is just pink because I love things that are soft. And I think that's what I
heard about that with the dude.
But Tyrese was showing his softness, his soft side. There's two different things going on, right? Everybody has their side. Vlad is in the business of exploiting and promoting whatever the streets is talking about. That's how he's going to get his views. I think his title was a little misleading, that Boosie had said that Tyrese was the most hurt. He didn't say it in the context in which he tried to present it. Vlad took a cheap shot when he brought up his personal DMs with Tyrese, because Tyrese is not there to defend himself. And also he left out the part where he offered Tyrese $10,000 to come and do interview. You understand? So on the other end, Tyrese is doing a lot of social media commentary about what he's going through. Do I think that Tyrese is making a humongous production more than he should? Yeah, I think he's maybe over exaggerating. I also want to say that Vlad didn't have a lot of information. He's sort of like, he was stuttering about how much he's paying. He doesn't know all the details. So, don't speak about things you don't know about, especially if you're going to go hard with him. So I understand where Tyrese is coming from, because he doesn't want his name in the mouth. Maybe get off of social media, because when you put the information out there, people can use it against you. And then Vlad is also just trying to make money. But, a lot of things that Tyrese said was right. We've been saying for a long time that Vlad is a culture vulture. And, we keep saying that. But who is the largest demographic that watches his programming? It's us.
Right. Yeah. And Tyrese, in the video that he did release, he also mentions that as well. Pierre, I want to come to you. I know it's been a while since you were on Vlad, but if it's okay with you and if you feel comfortable sharing, I'm just curious to know, what was your experience like when you were on the platform?
It was pleasant. I ain't gonna lie, it was cool. We laughed, I kept it fun. We talked about a couple little things. He's a big Tupac fan, so I did a video with Tupac. I hung with Tupac a little bit, and he wanted to know a lot about that. Then I mentioned about being shot, and we went into that joke about doing a joke on Def Comedy about Comedy Jam about being shot by the Shower Posse. So me and him had a lighthearted situation. It was maybe 4 or 5 years ago, so it wasn't as hard. But what I will say this. I have a platform, Pierre's Panic Room, and I bring a lot of people on. I've had some great guests, from Killer Mike, your boy Killer Mike, to T.I., to just some of the best people on. RZA Islam. I try to do the spectrum of people, and I try to give flowers. That's my thing. I because some people haven't been heard from a while, so I want to bring them back into the foray. People remember, hey man, you were a great artist, man. What you're doing lately. Nothing a gotcha show and stuff. And I only have a little over 100,000, which is cool. Vlad has over 5 million people. Do you know sometimes people have turned me down and ran to his ass? Black people will run to him and turn me down. I'm like, really? Really? I'm up here trying to give you flowers, nigga, but you want to run and be like, yeah, tap dance for him? All right, because he has the 5 million followers. Okay. So I'm not going to just blame Vlad. I'm going to blame us too for running to certain people because they want to be seen more. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, wow, and I'm surprised. Now, again, I'm also about to have 100 shows, episodes of my show. And I've had great people on my show. So a lot of people came through that showed me a lot of love. So when you see those people on my show, no, they come in because they love me. They got love for me. They ain't about I got the most views. But when I see them run to them other people, sometimes I shake my head and be like, wow, bro,
Yeah, no, I'm definitely with you, because the star power that our community has, you run to a platform that has 5 million, but you also have the power that you have as a celebrity. You can help elevate these black-owned platforms that are going to give you your flowers. We may have the tough conversations, but it's not going to be to put you in a bad situation. I love Pierre's Panic Room. I love, since I've been here, I know, previous things have happened on the platform, but I love being on this platform because I've witnessed being in an interview and somebody said something that could put them in a situation, and we tell them, hey, we're not going to run that to protect you. We can't do that because that's not going to be a good look for you. So yeah, I'm totally with you there. One more question before we head out, Yamanika, I'll come to you with this one, and I think you kind of hit on this a little bit, right? Being vulnerable with your audience kind of connects you more to your audience, right? But at the same time, being vulnerable puts you in position to be exploited by media companies that want to run with the headlines, that just care about the money. Recently Drew Barrymore was also another actress who came forward to say, hey, these tabloids, these media outlets are running with my vulnerability and making it something that it's not. So let me ask you, Yamanika, if you were in Tyrese's shoes, how would you respond? What would be your next step? How would you respond if you did see Vlad, kind of exploiting your vulnerability that you have been sharing on your platform?
I mean, I've been in that situation. I'm not, I'm still building and growing my platform and my brand. But I have been in that situation. I've had some controversial interviews, and I've had people use those things against me. I've had death threats. Because I feel, the thing about being a stand-up is that we have a specific perspective, and that comes from our lives and how we live. I'm different from Pierre. Pierre's different from the next comic because, we're all coming from our own perspective. I think it's easier as a comic sometimes to turn that into comedy, and jokes. And I think what Tyrese is doing is he's trying to be vulnerable when nobody's really known his words like that. As a comedian, people know our words and our point of view. But as a singer, we just still kind of remember him being that boy that was on the bus singing that, Coca-Cola commercial, was it Pepsi or so? 7 Up. Was it 7 Up? But
I don't know.
Coca-Cola, one of them, Coca-Cola, somebody.
I remember.
Yeah. I'm glad that he's showing his vulnerability. I think what happens with celebrities sometimes is it's like when Kim Kardashian had expressed how she felt feeling like a single mother. You know what I mean? That people who are not a part of a lifestyle look at people who are in these extravagant situations and go, what are you complaining about? You know, it just seems absurd that you would $10, who cares? You have a Benihana's in your home, you have a bunch of money, you do a Fast and Furious, but it doesn't mean they're not human. So I feel for him. At the same time, I've also made jokes about the shit that he's done. Because I think at the end of the day, I don't really feel like I'm punching down on Tyrese. Tyrese is a millionaire, a billionaire. You know, a lot of people find him to be attractive. You know what I mean? He seems like somebody that, like, at the end of the day, whatever people are saying about you is not going to hurt you that much because you're winning so much at life. But he's showing otherwise. He's showing that there are tears and there are cracks behind the scenes. People do reflect and feel certain kinds of ways. And I don't really have an answer, to be honest with you, because we've started this social media. We've started people making commentary. We make commentary. We make opinions. We make jokes. But behind all of that, there are targets to that can feel like they're being pushed and overboard.
No, absolutely. Pierre, let me bring you in. Same question for you. You know, if you're in Tyrese's shoes in this situation, how do you move? What is your next step?
Nothing, but just continue to do what he does. He decided to be vocal on it. He'll be vocal again. He's been vocal many times on how he feels about certain things. He's rallying the troops to, pretty much cancel Vlad. I don't know how much that's going to work, because we've seen his numbers rise up when other people have tried to say he's a culture vulture to cancel him. We as Black folks love drama. We just love drama. I know white folks love drama too, but I'm talking about Black people right now. We love drama, and we're gonna hang around that drama, and we want to hear, ooh, what's the tea? What's happening? And he finds a way of bringing it out on people. And so what we gonna do? We as a collective force, we're not going to do anything. So he's going to continue to do what he's going to do, Vlad being, and Tyrese is going to continue to, express himself. He's hurt right now. He don't like what happened, but we in show business, man. Shit, tell nigga read some of the comments about my ass and shit in here on this show.
Me too, right? Yeah.
But learn that. But I'm going to tell you a little fun fact before I go out there. Before I leave, MTV flew me and Tyrese to MTV in New York to take, do shows with like a mock show to take over Bill Bellamy's MTV Jams. And of course, he won over me and shit. They want the dark skin. They want to keep it extra black and shit.
Oh.
That's why they wanted Tyrese over me. But it came between me and him. Just a fun fact for those who, now in the comments, tell me how whack I would have been on MTV Jams. I know, I would have been terrible. But it came down between me and him.
But we're gonna go to commercial break. As you know, this week is like a new segment week. We're introducing new segments. So when we come back from commercial break, we'll be joined by Joya. She's gonna present a new segment called You Be the Judge, where we talk about all things across the world that are going on from a legal aspect and be able to get some insight. There's an update on the Florida woman who did kill her neighbor. She has been arrested. But when we come back, Joya will give us all the updates. We'll be back right after this.
Culture sounds like jumping the broom. Like dancing to Never Too Much with your groom, it sounds like the electric slide. Like so much food on your plate, it starts to curve on the sides, it sounds like Boo Boo the Fool and McDonald's money. And what keeps all of this intact is the simple fact that my mama Black.
Hey Hypers, it's Joya, your comedy hype legal analyst and resident Justice Bay. Before I chime in with my comments, we want to invite you to be the judge. This is a new segment on You Be the Judge. Now, we've been following this case on Comedy Hype since it was released that AJ Owens, the Black mother, who authorities say was fatally shot last week in Central Florida after knocking on a neighbor's door when her children shared with her that they had been taunted by Susan Lawrence. The family of Owens is being represented by civil rights attorney Ben Crump, who recently released this statement. While we are relieved that the woman apparently responsible for the tragic killing of AJ Owens has been arrested, we are no less concerned that accountability has taken this long because of archaic laws like stand your ground do exist. What this says is when a person can shoot and kill an unarmed mother in the presence of her young children and not be immediately taken into custody question, or charge. What is this law? We will remain vigilant and seeking justice for AJ and other people of color, like Raphael, who was simply knocking on a door and was met with the barrel of a gun in Kansas City. We must eradicate laws like Stand Your Ground that contribute to the lawlessness of our country and the disproportionate maiming and killing of people of color. This is an important step in a necessary journey to justice for AJ. So this case brings back haunting memories of the 2013 Trayvon Martin case, where the world was introduced to the Stand Your Ground law in Florida, where the law states that a person does have the right to meet force with force if it's believed that it's necessary to prevent death or great bodily harm. Now, this case can be a bit tricky to introduce this law, but I do have no doubts that it could be introduced for the defense. However, we cannot deny that more and more Black minors and children under 18 are adultified and treated as criminals as young as 5 years old. So I want to come to you, Pierre. Pierre, do you think that the Stand Your Ground law is applied unfairly when Black children are in the equation? So that's my first question.
Okay, well, it seems like it, but I just think it's unfairly, just period. Force to be met by force. A knock on the door, yelling is not forceful, force to shoot somebody through the door. I'm hearing, I don't know the laws, but the problem is that the system went onto the property. When you go on somebody's property, it changes it somewhat. But also I heard, I don't know the law, you may know better, if you're running out of someone's place and they shoot you in the back, even though you're on their property, I heard that's illegal too. So just being on someone's property does not give you the right to shoot them just because they're on your property. So with this being said, that thing, I think Stand Your Ground is giving people too many excuses when they're afraid, when they're racist, when they just feel certain ways, that they feel like, hey, you're on my property, you're yelling, I can kill you right now. And that's not what it really is about, Stand Your Ground, as far as I'm concerned. People are just abusing that and hiding behind the law, saying, hey, I was fearing my life. Hell, somebody could be calling you names and you want to go in and they're on your property or whatever, you can just shoot them and say, I stand your ground. So no, I'm glad she got arrested. Now, I'm hearing manslaughter is not as bad as like first-degree murder. Right. So I would like her to get first-degree murder so she really get in that jail for a long time. So it needs to teach people a lesson that just because you're afraid of somebody and they're on your property, they're yelling at you, you don't have the right to shoot them because you're in Florida or wherever Stand Your Ground law is. You feel, hey, I can shoot you now because Stand Your Ground law. No, we need to hold accountability. These are people's lives. You are killing somebody. You're not just hurting somebody. You are killing. You're eliminating them from being present on this earth physically. And that's because you were afraid or you think you were afraid. It wasn't enough force met by force. Too much for me, man. So no, I don't think that should be. And I'm glad she got arrested. And I hope, to the fullest of the law to put a message out to other folks. We're not gonna play this. I don't care what color you are. I don't care if it's black, white, Mexican. I don't give a damn what it is. Enough's enough of this.
Right. So to your comment about first-degree murder, she would definitely have to prove that it was premeditated and that she was planning on killing this woman. Definitely.
Yeah, she had that pistol real quick. She had that gun real quick. She had to go out and go find that gun for a while. So I don't know.
Absolutely. And I do have some more comments about that, but I do want to shoot it over to Yamanika. Do you believe that this lady, this white lady, Susan Lawrence, may get off because of the Stand Your Ground law in Florida, because she is a white woman who believed that she was in danger? And we all know that Karen trope.
My takeaway from that, because I want you to explain that and that's get it right, is whenever we are defending ourselves as Black people, we are not allowed to use the same excuses white people are allowed to use in their defense. There are different justice systems for us. And I know you spoke about the children, but I want to also add in there Black women. We are seeing a rise in murders of Black women. And for whatever reason, I've been on a crime show. I finally turned it to my mother. She kept telling me all the time, oh, you got to watch these death, go watch it. And I don't want to watch that death crime, all that death crime. But I typed in kitten one day in YouTube, and next thing you know, I got into a death crime. I watch it 24 hours a day. Cold case, murder case, this one died, who this, unsolved mystery, all of that. When I see the convictions, I notice a difference when it is a Black victim versus a white victim.
Right.
Parole, life sentence without the possibility of parole. I've seen some where people get convicted for 5 or 10 years for even killing us, even children. So our justice system is very racist and very flawed. And to go back to what we were talking about earlier, when we started to complain and it became an issue, then they did something. Even if it was just the minimum, they went and got that woman. But if we had never opened our mouths, they would have let her go scot-free. That's why I'm saying us sticking together, us supporting ourselves, doesn't mean you can't have commentary. Doesn't mean you can't not like me. It don't mean you can't not like Pierre, anybody here. You're like, but to still come to us as your people and get your information, your commentary, how we go out to the community from us is very important. And I want us to see that when we stick together and when we make a fuss about some shit that has happened to us, people have no choice but to do something to get us off their back. Right. So hopefully she does. I agree with Pierre. She needs more than manslaughter. This has been a situation with this woman running amok in that community. She has, I know premeditation can be just up to the thought of going to get a gun. Mm-hmm. You understand? So she has taken a woman's life. And I'll say this in closing, the one thing that I don't like, and I know I'm gonna get the comments because they hate when I say stuff, supporting Black women, but I'm a Black woman, and I'm gonna continue to stand up for my sisters because I don't think people do it enough for us. And if I have to be the martyr for it and I get on your nerves about it, go fuck yourself. Oh. What I'm telling you is, it is disrespectful for us to constantly, every time a Black woman is involved, especially, go, well, what was she doing? Well, what was that? What was that? And not give any grace. That woman does not deserve to have been shot to go defend her child that was attacked by a grown adult. And if the roles were reversed and that Black woman shot that white woman or whatever she is, that day that Black woman would have been in jail and it would have been no questions asked. So we got to stop attacking each other on shit when we are dying, because one thing white people do, they ain't going to do that. They don't give a fuck if somebody wrong. They are not going to tear each other down when they are being murdered. They're going to stand strong. So we again have to have the responsibility to stop disrespecting our own culture and blaming each other for our deaths.
Yamanika, as a Black woman, I also feel your passion, and I thank you for naming race. And I was very intentional about naming race because race does play an outsized role in a lot of these laws and how the laws are applied. So just a little bit of background, Florida was one of the first states to introduce the Stand Your Ground law. And since it has been used, it's been sketchy applications of the law, from Trayvon Martin to Ralph Yarl, 16, who was shot when he went to the wrong address in Kansas City, Missouri to pick up his siblings. 84-year-old white man told the police he fired immediately after answering the doorbell when he saw Ralph pulling on the door handle. It's like the rules change when the law is applied to white people versus white people. I remember Marissa Alexander was charged in Jacksonville, Florida for firing a warning shot in her own property when her husband, who she said was abusive, and she served nearly 6 years for firing that shot and was forced to wear an ankle monitor after. And her defense tried to use the Stand Your Ground law and it was rejected. So as far as getting away with it, I don't believe that it should be completely eradicated on my end, but amended by lawmakers, because there's going to come a time when Black people have to defend themselves. Absolutely, lawmakers should take another look at that law in Florida and other deep Southern states. So back to you, Symphony.
Yes, and I want to thank you on that. Now, before we close out, I do want to add one more commentary. You know, DL is big on talking on cases like this, so I want to read his caption. Here's what DL had to say. He said, "These children have no mother over someone else's BS. She doesn't deserve to enjoy life outside of prison. She has damaged these children forever." So I'm hoping, as you said, Joya, you know, and as everyone has said, I hope it's more than just assault. I think I saw a report that she was trying to leave before she got arrested. She was packing up her things to try to move. So I'm really hoping that, you know, this is done right. I'm hoping that this is done right. That's about as much. But thank you so much, Joya, for joining us, for You Be the Judge. Thank you for Pierre and Yamanika for chiming in. We're going to go to a quick commercial break. And when we come back, Aries Spears responds to all the backlash. Everybody that has labeled him hard to work with, he finally responds to it. We're going to take a look at that when we come back from break.
Fridays at 8 on Peachtree TV.
Why do you feel it's so important to support Black-owned businesses?
Some of Atlanta's best Black-owned businesses take center stage.
Whoa!
Black Friday Report.
Okay. Oh!
Only on Atlanta's own Peachtree TV.
Well, Aries Spears recently made an appearance on Bill Bellamy's Top Billin' podcast, where the two discuss his beginnings in comedy, behind-the-scenes stories on some of his favorite projects, and what he's been up to lately. Now, during their conversation, Aries spoke on not having a mentor in his career despite his early start at the age of 14. Aries would say that everything he learned in this business, he learned by himself. The lack of mentorship he received early on could explain why he's been labeled as a controversial figure. Let's take a look at this clip.
Your attitude is a blessing.
My Charles Barkley, no giving a fuck demeanor.
Correct. You stand on a lot of things that
I
you're
do.
very passionate about.
I do.
Why do you think it gets misconstrued or it goes left?
I think that before that, I always say this game is, Hollywood is like high school, man.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of times people go off of what they hear rather than do self-investigation. So the seed has already been planted for you to feel a certain way about me without meeting me. There have been a lot of things that I have said that I wish I could take back.
Mm-hmm.
Not necessarily because I don't believe in what I said. Knowing how this game is, should have said it. Because no matter what you do or what you say,
you're going to get criticized
You're going to
anyway.
get criticized and there's consequences and repercussions. But I've always believed in what I said. Just probably shouldn't have said it, and it's
this wasn't the right place
and like
for
I
it.
said, my mouth is my biggest attribute, but it's also my biggest detriment.
So as a young guy, coming to the shows with your mom being your manager and taking care of you and making sure you good, branching your wings and jumping in this Hollywood game, what was that like for a young comedian?
Here's the part that I think where it would have been better for me had it not happened that way. Most comedy dudes, they come up with a clique. A lot of them dudes, and especially in the trenches of the struggle, live together, rode in the same car.
Yeah.
I Nas this shit. I was a loner. I didn't have nobody to pull my coattail and go, hey, young man, come here. No, don't do that. Everything I learned by my motherfucking self.
Pierre, I'm coming to you first. What's your reaction after hearing from Aries Spears on why, all the backlash that he's received?
I'm in the business. I call bullshit when I see bullshit or hear bullshit. He was an arrogant motherfucker. That's what he was. Arrogant. All that. I ain't have no old homie to help me out, or old dude. When old cats talked to him, he didn't want to hear it. So he has to take accountability of that. I was around. I saw it. Aries, I did. I've heard it. Okay? So it's not that everyone, he didn't have no one to help him out. When people wanted to help him out, said, brother, chill, young man. Nigga, fuck you. I'm the next Eddie Murphy. Nigga, fuck out of here. I'm doing my way. Well, okay, nigga, then you're going to do it your way. That's what happened. In fact, I like Aries. I'm gonna be honest with you. Me and him think a lot alike. So I know where he comes from. I just have a different personality behind closed doors. I'm more humble and caring than he was. I'm just being real with it. He can say what he wants to on another podcast he wants to. It is what it is. In fact, I asked him, come on, we tried to get him on this thing and took care of stuff, and he flaked at the last minute. I tried to bring him on my show. He gave me stories. I'm available. And all of a sudden he wasn't available. But nothing happened. I'm not mad at him for doing the Bill Bellamy show. I'm happy he's coming out and expressing himself. But what I will call is bullshit. If he came on my show, I'm not going to get away, sit there and just let him say what he wants to. I'm going to call it like it is. And I think that might be one of the reasons why he didn't want to come on my show, because not here to get him wrong, but because I feel him. I understand where he's coming from. But I'm also going to be like, I ain't going to sit there and just be like, I'm like, no, nigga, I was there. I heard this and I heard that. Let's be real with it. And so that's how I feel about him. You know what I'm saying? But again, I think he's a talented individual, but he fucked his own self over by his personality and his arrogance coming up.
I love the honesty. Yamanika, let me bring you in. Same thing. After, hearing this, what's your reaction to it?
I don't know him, Aries Spears, personally. Obviously, I've had commentary about him when he was opening his mouth about Lizzo. Part of me does feel him because people have a perspective of me that's different than if they ever meet me, right? Where him and I differ is when it comes down to work. I try to make sure in business that I am doing what I need to do and that I'm keeping and communicating well with people, especially if I have disagreements or things like that, that communication is the key. Aries seems very hurt. I'll say this, and I don't know, Pierre may not agree or sometimes comics don't want this to be put out. A lot of comedians got into this business, we were on the outcast at somewhere, right? We weren't in the mix to have the sort of same thinking of the populace. So you have a lot of comics who get into this business and we are outsiders, or we are people who have had to defend against things. So that automatically, that defense puts up a block. And when you have that kind of block and you're always on guard for attack, a lot of times that makes you have a rough or exterior. So I think a lot of his commentary and his work comes from defensiveness instead of expressiveness. But in terms of nobody helping him when he was young, I started stand up at 16. Was it that nobody was helping him, or was it that he was not getting the help? Because I know at 16, it was a certain way that I felt about myself, just being young and dumb. And as I got older, I was more receptive to people giving me advice, to people giving me help, to people telling me certain things. I mean, you can't trust everybody, but sometimes when people see the best in you and they want to get that out of you, you have to be willing to go to people and say, hey, I'd like advice. I'd like your help. It's a breakdown across the board.
Yeah, absolutely. One more question before we close out. Pierre, I'll come to you. Later in the podcast, Aries mentions, he hasn't done TV or a show in about 20 years. He feels that, eventually he does have to get back into that. He says that, he's still been able to be successful in stand-up, but he knows eventually he's going to have to, go back into the TV and the movies and things like that. So let me ask you this, Pierre, being that you have a little bit more knowledge too on the background, do you think he needs to directly address the things that he's experienced, like address the controversy specifically in order to recover and in order to get back to, Aries Spears, who was on TV shows and on movies and likable? What are your thoughts?
Well, let me start by saying this. I think Aries Spears is immensely talented. He's a very talented guy. He really is. A funny comic and a talented actor. So he has the ability to shine once more. Aries Spears has to get out of Aries Spears' way. It's hard to reinvent yourself. When people feel a certain way towards you, to change their mind is, some people's first inclination of him was the Lizzo or the video with the little boy and all that kind of stuff like that. And then also some of the statements he's made prior and stuff like that. I think Aries just wanted to be heard, but he wasn't on a level where you can't be touched. Had Eddie Murphy did it or somebody, Kevin Hart, you see, them people are so high that they have so many fans that have followed. Aries Spears wasn't at that level. So to talk that shit he did, it's a little bit difficult. It's very difficult to come back again. So he's gonna have to show a whole 360. People they feel about it. They're gonna feel like he just lying. He probably just trying to do it, just trying to get back in good graces with the people and stuff. He has to come, what they call it, a come to Jesus moment with himself and say, man, look here, this ain't working. I'm getting kicked out of certain things and he has to admit, because of me, I ain't bringing a lot of this stuff. It's funny that Yamanika said, OGs, he ain't asking no advice from OGs. It ain't about that. OGs might tell him some stuff, but he don't want to hear it. He turned them away. It's not always him have to go ask. He has to be open to hear stuff from people. Say, bro, you're talented, man. You know what I'm saying? You're talented, brother. Share with what you're doing, how you approaching certain things. You ain't got to say every damn thing. You know what I'm saying? You ain't got to say everything. So I think he has to think about that before he clears that out the way. I think he has a chance of coming back. I just think because he's so immensely talented, man. And I think, I want to see him again. I'm a fan of his.
Absolutely. No, I love the honesty. I think there's so much value when you can, have constructive criticism for somebody. So I love that. Yamanika, I seen you shaking your head, so I want your thoughts on that as well. What do you think? What do you think he needs to, and I think Pierre used an amazing word, what do you think he needs to reinvent himself to get back to, the light where he's a little bit more likable by the audience?
I think it's whatever is authentic to him that seems natural, because people can smell phoniness. I mean, I 1,000% agree with everything that Pierre said. And in the interview, he did say, so he was trying to take responsibility for, he knows he says stuff and does stuff. It's like it would be great for him to come out with a stand-up special right now with everything that so that we can really understand him. I think this is a perfect opportunity for him to do that. Aries Spears, this is what I think, and this is how it is. I don't agree with a lot of the things that he said. I came for him for the shit that he said about Lizzo, but at the same time, I agree with Pierre. He is very funny. And that was never a question whether he was funny or not. But for somebody to be as talented as him, and I'm not saying that there's a lot of talented people that don't get to make it, trust me. So hear what I'm saying. But for somebody who got through the door like he did, and with the level of talent, characterizations he's able to do, the fact that he has not gone further speaks a large volume to his attitude and his personality.
Absolutely. Now, when he comes with his stand-up, I'm gonna need to see your name in the credits. So Aries Spears, if you come out with a special, I want to see Yamanika's name in the credits. No, but I appreciate you both. I think, again, there's so much value when we can provide constructive criticism, but still give flowers, right? Roses have thorns, so you'll get poked every now and again, but I'm still giving you your flowers. So beautifully put from both of you. Before we head out, of course, I'd like to know what you have going on. Yamanika with the pink brick wall. Our walls are matching, so I'm coming to you first. What do you have coming up? And of course, how can people follow you?
In Los Angeles, June 14th, I should have my calendar up. I'm doing the roast of anti-Semitism. I will have that information up you can go to @Yamanika on everything, and I'll have information to that if you want to get tickets to that. I want to just say this also in closing. I like this format. I hope everybody understands this format that we got going on today, and that this was a great opportunity for us to start explaining what's happening, and then understand next week we're going to get back to the roasting. Now that you know what's going on, now we done explain to you how everything goes behind the scene. We gonna roast. So Tyrese, I'm telling you, you're gonna be mad at us too next week. Okay, I'm coming for you. Okay, I'm coming for you, baby. But it's all in love. It's all in fun. Sending a lot of love to Pierre. Sending love to you. Obviously, Symphony, so glad you back. John, everybody here, the beautiful segments we had added to the show, how we are growing, what a blessing we got going on. And everybody who comments, whether you hate us or like us or not, thank you for watching us.
Absolutely. Last and certainly not least, Pierre, you have a show tonight in Charlotte, North Carolina. Tell me all about how are you preparing? How you feeling?
I'm good. You know, I'm about to give y'all about an hour and a half for those who come into the show tonight, Charlotte Comedy Zone. It's Wednesday, June 7th. I'm so happy, excited. The tickets are off the roof, so I appreciate folks in Charlotte coming out supporting the brother. Follow me at Comic Pierre, COMICPIERRE, and my Panic Room. Again, as I say every week, because I mean, seriously, it can't be a day that goes by that people don't run up to me in the stores, the malls, or whatever, and say, yo, I love what you're doing on Comedy Hype, man. I really appreciate it. So those who do that, thank you so much, man. It really means a lot. And again, I'm here Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. I ain't going nowhere.
Not at all. Every week we're bringing the fire, and I love doing it with you all. Again, thank you both for chiming in on these topics, but you heard from us. Now, we wanted from you in the comments below. We laid up a lot of information as well as some commentary, so give us your thoughts in the comments, and we'll see you next time. For Comedy Hype News, I'm Symphony Thompson.
Put it in those comments. Drop it in them comments.
Do you know the comedy culture? Play Comedy Hype, the game. Out now.